Welcome to this recording of information shared about the VTmtss Survey Report during our November 21st Vermont MTSS office hour. I am Tracy Watterson, the Assistant Director of the Student Support Services Division and the Vermont MTSS Program Manager. I'd like to set the tone by reading the Vermont MTSS team's belief statement. The Vermont MTSS team is committed to the belief that each and every student can learn and achieve high standards. We believe that establishing interconnected, interrelated systemic approaches creates equitable conditions to sustain a dynamic, responsive educational system. We believe our role is to help school and district staff build capacity in collaboration with each other, students, families, and community to strive towards equity of educational opportunity. Today, our focus will be to learn about the 2024 Vermont MTSS survey results and how to use its data to inform continuous improvement efforts in our district and its schools. Our agenda is to review the key findings of the 2024 Vermont MTSS Survey Report. And I'd like to thank Caitlin Chisholm for her leadership and authorship of the survey report the past 3 years. And I'd like to thank our K-12 public school principals who submitted their surveys, an amazing 99% response rate this year. Also on our agenda for today is to discuss statewide trends related to the Vermont MTSS framework practices and to problem solve ways to use the 2024 Vermont survey to inform districts and schools in continuous improvement efforts. The purpose of the Vermont MTSS Survey Summary Report is to summarize and analyze the statewide use and systemic and comprehensive approaches during the 2023-24 school year as they relate to the Vermont MTSS framework indicators. The purpose is also to provide research and resources related to each of the 30 questions in the survey so that schools and district leaders can learn more about the importance of each indicator measured by the survey, and to inform improvement planning at the school and district level. The 4 key findings from the 2023-24 survey, which we will explore a bit more in the following slides, are the following. Number 1, over the past 3 school years, the amount of educational support team plans being completed before the end of the school year has been consistently increasing. Number 2, there was a 9% increase in principals reporting that student voice informs lessons. However, less than half report that student voice is frequently considered as data during EST meetings, or that students are provided relevant resources or information about academic EST plans. Our third finding is that there is a pattern of increasing family engagement among all survey indicators. For example, the best practice of having a process for systemic feedback from families increased by 13%. However, families and caregivers are less frequently being engaged in decisions about the school system itself. And number 4, although general educators appear to frequently collaborate with various staff members to inform their lessons, they collaborate least often with families and other general educators. Let's look at our first finding, educational support team plans. You'll see here on the slide a piece of legislation. This is Education Title 16, Section 2902. There's the link there if you'd like to explore it further. But This is where you will find in state statute that as part of a tiered system of support, all schools will maintain an educational support team. There may be a tendency to confound the EST with a tiered system or even with the Vermont MTSS Framework, so let me make a distinction. The Vermont MTSS Framework defines an entire educational system, while an EST is one very important element of that system. The EST is a team that follows processes to support each and every student in need within that Vermont MTSS framework. Statute and typical current practice does locate the educational support team at the individual school level. However, the statute also states that school boards shall assign responsibility to either the superintendent or principal to develop and maintain the EST. So taking that systemic approach, we know that an EST, although it itself operates at the school level, it is in need of oversight at the district level that provides sustainability and equity among the supports being made available to students. And district level oversight of the EST process in the school can serve several other functions, but most importantly, it ensures that each and every student within the districts has equitable access to the supports they need to succeed. And to achieve this goal, district level oversight ensures that all schools have access to all the students that supports need. They provide equitable student access to these supports, they develop effective and measurable support student plans, and they use data and systemic planning about the needs for students. This may imply that many Vermont schools' EST teams provide a student plan that supports a classroom teacher's instruction with supplemental, short-term, skill-specific interventions for a student. Think of a Tier 3 or intensive level of support when you're thinking of EST plans. And these plans are frequently monitored to assess progress and adjust. Our second finding is around student voice. There was a 9% increase in principals reporting that student voice informs lessons, 67% total. Why is that significant? Well, the most significant gap reported was that practice of informing students about the details and providing resources was more strong in social emotional learning supports than it was for academic supports. And that leads us to wonder why. So we're going to do some more analysis and learning from conversations with those of you in the field, why there's more student voice in social emotional learning plans than there are in academic plans. But why is this significant? Well, valuing strong partnerships and including students and staff in decision making fosters a culture of trust. Student engagement in both what they need and understanding what will be offered to them to meet their needs is critical for the student's success with the intervention. For leaders interested in improving systemic supports to engage students in their interventions, the Educational Support Team, or EST, practice profile, available on the Vermont MTSS webpage, offers a continuum of best practices for developing high-quality academic and social emotional interventions. Our third finding is in regard to family engagement. We had a 13% increase in having a process for systemic feedback from families, and that's really something to celebrate. So why is that significant? Well, research shows that students whose families are meaningfully engaged, regardless of income or background, are more likely to attend school regularly, improve academically, advance to the next grade level, demonstrate enhanced social skills and positive behaviors, and graduate from secondary and post-secondary education. And when families are decision makers in their partnership with educators, they can better advocate for their children and provide valuable insights into students' needs and personal context. With you, we'd like to explore ways to extend those opportunities that are being provided to families in having a voice around the student to be a part of an authentic voice in other decisions that are being made about the school system as well. And our fourth finding is around the collaboration of general educators. So although more than half of the principals reported that general educators meet with paraprofessionals, special educators, and interventionists at least once per week, less than half reported the same level of collaboration with another general education teacher. Yet in comparison to other individuals in a school community, principals reported that families are the least frequent role that are engaged in general education with general educators about the needs of their students to inform lessons. And so why is this significant? Well, we know that academic, behavioral, and social emotional outcome for students improves when there's diverse participants collaborating effectively on curriculum and instruction. Of note is that teaching is driven by individual core values and skills, and benefits from having a healthy partnership where teachers can collaborate on units, lessons, and progress monitoring makes all the difference in the success of the students. Effectively collaborating also fosters a collective identity and a collective responsibility for each and every student based on communication, problem solving, decision making, which ultimately strengthens a supportive school culture for each and every student. We also know that effective collaboration provides teachers with more resources, greater job satisfaction, and more positive outcomes with students, which then boosts students' achievement and personal growth. So in the previous slides, we have identified the key findings from the data that was collected this year. And now we'd like to share a few ways that we have identified to use this survey data to inform school and district-wide improvement efforts. We, of course, are interested to hear from you in the field of additional ways that you have used the survey data to inform your own continuous improvement efforts. So we have been analyzing trends over time at the state. We look at that. We look at district level. Our questions in the survey have been fairly consistent for the past 3 years, and so we're able to now start seeing some consistency and able to know when something is growing, when something is stagnant, if we're seeing a decrease where we can't afford to have one. And this information is used by the Vermont MTSS team in particular when we are providing technical assistance to a school or a school district to help them identify areas of strength and areas of growth within their school system. We also use this data to assess any district-wide trends that might help support or provide information in their continuous improvement plan and applications for grants. It's so valuable, and that we've heard from so many principals this year, just provides us with a plethora of data that we can then use to make decisions on the need for technical assistance, additional guidelines, updates to tools, filling gaps in information or resources that the field is saying they need that we have not yet provided. And we're also able to disaggregate the data by school level demographic differences such as population size or grade band, and we're just starting to do some cross tabulation even. So it's very exciting. So let's briefly explore the different sections of the report, because being more familiar with what's there may help you find your place to access the data and look for information about trends in your own school or areas of strength and areas of growth. School districts may request information on their school district. Principals as well, just send an email to tracy.watterson@vermont.gov and I can pull together your raw data and share it. So because the surveys come in individually by principal, if your school district would like to have its data collated, we can do that for you upon request. So keeping in mind that the survey questions and response prompts are designed to indicate best practices within a Vermont MTSS framework, I want you to be thinking about what are ways you can or could use this data to inform your continuous improvement efforts. So you'll see the first set of questions, questions 1 through 8, are about increasing the capacity for the collaborative development of system expertise. Here's where you'll find questions regarding scheduling, educational support team structures, and responsive decision making, especially around EST plans. Questions 9 through 15 is where you'll find the quantitative EST plan data. Each year we ask, how many EST plans have been brought forward from the last year? How many were new requests? And of those new requests of the EST team, how many resulted in an EST plan? How many resulted in a Section 5 or 4 plan or an evaluation for an IEP? And of those evaluations, how many resulted in IEP plans? And we're also looking at the number of completed plans. Our goal is to continue to increase the number of EST plans that are completed within a year, wanting them to be focused on short-term skill-specific support to a student, and to understand better when they're not. What are the different circumstances that arise that might extend a student's EST plan from one year to the next? In questions 16 through 24, you'll see questions about the equitable access to interventions and support, looking at behavior, social emotional learning, mental health and academics, data used for lesson planning, data about universal screeners for social emotional learning, mental health and school climate, information about memorandums of understanding with local designated mental health agencies or providers, and also the types of funding sources that schools are using to support social emotional learning and mental health. In questions 25 through 32, we look at the increase of capacity for a cooperative development of collective expertise. Here's where we ask questions about opportunities for staff to collaborate with each other, such as the finding number 4. We look at needs-based professional learning. How is it identified? How is it provided? The number, role, and assignments of paraprofessionals in your school. Several questions about family and community engagement. We ask for the names and contact information for different coordinators, such as Section 504, your designated employees, your EST coordinator, etc. That is to help us continue to network with them, provide those in special roles with additional information and updates when new documents have been created to support the work that they're doing. And sometimes they're also contacted to help with stakeholder groups or to work in partnership around a focus group or give us feedback on a new tool that we're piloting. And we ask about the use of the tools that we do have available on our website. So in summary, and a little bit of a preview, this year's data collection period will be open from May 1st through May 31st of 2025. Survey questions are available now on our website. That's a PDF version. It gives you a heads up on the survey that will be available in May so that you can start collecting the data. And although principals are primarily responsible for submitting the survey in May, we encourage them to seek out assistance in collecting that data from their staff. And so those questions are available to you now. The survey aims to measure how Vermont public school principals are incorporating the Vermont MTSS systemic and comprehensive approaches to enhance academic, behavioral, social, emotional, and mental health outcomes for each and every student. And this data collection is used to improve and expand our educational systems through the lens of continuous improvement. I'd like to thank you for completing the survey. All those principals, 99%, what an amazing rate. And as you ensure that pertinent data is available for deciding improvements in education for each and every student, for yourselves, for the state, we're just greatly appreciative of the time. Now, since this is not a live session, I can't seek your questions in the moment, but we did have some questions that came up during the office hours that I will share with you now, the question and the response, and I welcome additional questions be shared with me at tracy.watterson@vermont.gov. So the first question is, why is completing the survey the principal's responsibility if state statute states that annually each superintendent shall report to the secretary in a form prescribed by the secretary on the state of educational support systems in each school in the supervisory union? Well, we have been putting this survey together for many years, and we have found over the years that the principal and their staff best know what's happening in their school, and they have access to the pertinent data that's needed to complete the survey by the end of May. So during the month of June, as that data comes in, we do inform the superintendent that the surveys have been submitted, and occasionally we need to seek their help in getting in those that didn't quite make it in by the end of May. So the superintendents are informed, but they're not the ones completing the survey on behalf of each school in their school district or supervisory union. Another question that was asked is, why do we collect the data at the end of the school year? Well, some of the data is not available until the close, or at least close to the end of the school year, such as the number of EST plans that were completed, or who the family engagement coordinator will be for the upcoming school year. And so even though that's a busy time of year, we fully acknowledge that. We really could not ask for the data any sooner. And if we waited until the fall with the new school year started, it's very challenging for schools to go back and pull that data as they're preparing for the next school year. So what we've learned over the past few years is if we provide the survey questions in the fall, then that data collection can be more gradual, and it's not the, oh wow, the window just opened in May, now here's the questions, and I have to pull that data while I'm also trying to wrap up my school year. Another question that was asked is, will we give an example of how the AOE uses the data? I can actually provide two examples. The Vermont MTSS team uses the key findings to establish their own SMART goals for the year and determine change ideas to put through PDSA cycles for their own improvement. Another way we use the data is I'm currently working with a colleague at the Department of Mental Health to look at state-level trend data that will help shape a mission of a cross-agency team that will include members from the field and help decide the team's objectives for 2024. So I'd like to wrap up today with, again, sharing my information. There's my email address. You may also seek technical assistance if you'd like through this form that's available on our website. It can be a request for any of the things, any of the content areas that the Vermont MTSS team supports. I also share the link to the data collection and survey. So this is where the current survey report is, as well as information from the past. We're probably getting close to 10 or more years. So there's a lot of data there. And then to let you know that our next office hour, which will be live and then recorded, is coming up in January 16th, and we will be focusing on a review of Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. So we hope that you will be able to join us at 3 o'clock. If you'd like other information about registering for the upcoming office hours or information about the past office hours we've held this school year, please contact Megan, MJ, Jared, and her email address is available for you there. We thank you for listening and let us know how we can be of help.